Warning, this episode contains strong language or mature themes. Parental discretion is advised.
I always like to listen to music.
So do I.
I brought my tapes. I'll just set it in, and now we push this button.
Welcome to This Podcast is Uncalled For.
What's uncalled for about it?
What we doing at Tijuana?
You met a girl, didn't you? I was like, oh, how did you know? He was like, oh, because it always happens. It always happens. It's the only stupid reason that you would ever drop the ROTC, because of a stupid girl.
And then look, thank you back home.
Oh, that's going to be great for the football charts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I can think of 100 right off the top of my head.
Is paid a genre?
So it just, a lot happens behind the scene that people don't know about. Like, it's hard for the average voter to understand how much of what they think is their democracy is decided by faceless people to them. You know, you and I know who's making these decisions.
There you go. These are the kind of discussions we have. Fortunately, we're both fairly level-headed people. Again, we're looking at each other in the eye. We're not going to say anything derogatory to the other person. And, of course, neither of us is drunk.
Take me to Gay's barbecue.
It's a bit of a slap in the face and insults.
But you didn't even give him a chance for a wild card spot.
And the look on Mike's face.
They love big boys like you.
It's kind of, what is that character from Guardians of the Galaxy who takes everything literally? The people are out there, like, they could have taken it literally.
Yeah, we're crazy people and we love what we do, and so we just keep creating regardless of how hard it can be sometimes.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
And remember, no you.
That is uncalled for, Michael.
And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernevsky.
I have a lot more on this tape. Here. Listen to this.
Well, the name of this podcast is Stuff Uncalled For?
This podcast is uncalled.
Podcast, all right. Well,
And all y'all, subscribe and like and comment and subscribe. Yeah, I said it.
Fuji!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. And here with Braden.
Howdy.
And today's going to be the first of our discussions. And I thought we'd do something interesting for our first discussion. Let's talk about our Mount Rushmore of celebrities. People that are famous, that we haven't had a chance to meet, but if we had the opportunity, we certainly would. And I'm including dead celebrities on this as well. So, all right.
I got a couple in mind, but I'm going to let you start off with one. And how about we just go ping pong back?
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
You say one, we'll just go back.
So I'll start with a guy who's been in the news lately.
Oh, boy.
Prime time.
Oh,
Deion Sanders.
Hey.
Now, for context, as I mentioned, I played football. Happened to play football at the time that Prime was at the height of his career, winning 2 Super Bowls. He was mostly corner and did a little wideout as well. On top of that, he was also a Major League Baseball player. In fact, he is the only person in history to have played both in a Super Bowl and a World Series.
He's the only one?
The only one.
Oh, dang. I didn't. Wow. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And he also put out a rap album. At that same time, which I have somewhere.
I think my buddy showed me a track off of that at one point, but I was off of a couple of drinks at a party when I was listening to it, so I couldn't really give it a real review.
Right.
But it sounded good at the time, from what I remember.
So that's actually one of the reasons I decided to take up football, I didn't play football until my junior year of high school, was because of Dion. I thought, oh, this guy's pretty cool, fast, flashy.
He seems like he's
nice
pretty
step.
like tight, up-notch coach right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to get to.
No, yeah. Sorry.
Apologies, I've had a cold. That's why I'm wearing the mask.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Worried about you dying over here.
Yeah.
On the first day.
On your first day, yeah, that'd be bad.
Wouldn't look good on my resume.
Anyways, as Braden already mentioned, he's now Coach Prime. Coached the last couple of years at Jackson State University, of all places. A historically black college university in Jackson, Mississippi. Sorry. Where, among other things, he coached two of his sons. One's a quarterback and one's a safety. But why he's in the news recently is not only did he get Jackson State to an undefeated regular season this past season, only losing in their postseason game. He is now the new head coach at the University of Colorado. So
that guy knows how to break ground. Seriously.
Oh yeah. And I've seen a lot of the videos that his oldest son has been making. His oldest son's been doing a lot of videos on social media for him. And
was he in any way coached by that guy? What was his name? Leon Sandcastle.
I know that's a character he actually played.
Yeah, so. Nah. That's how some of the people who don't watch football that much know him by.
But anyway, some of these videos of him coaching is clear he does not like his players looking at their cell phones.
Oh yes.
Get off the phone.
I can definitely imagine that. Like, especially when I was like directing for show choir in college, like people would be on their phones all the time. Like, dude, are you here to work or not? Seriously. Like, especially if this is something you're being dedicated to, like you have to put your all into it. And like, plus, do you really want to be spending all your day looking at this damn screen?
Right. So there's that. Making sure his players are going to practice, going to class, cleaning up at class, making themselves more presentable.
Make sure they're not only being good football players, but they're good students as well. Yeah. And
being a good father as well to those two players.
First and foremost,
even though the
for sure.
safety gets on his nerves more so than Now the safety son is clearly modeling himself after his dad.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. So best of luck, Coach Prime in Boulder, and he's number one on my Mount Rushmore of celebrities. And by the way, when I was thinking of colleges to go to out of high school, I strongly considered Florida State because of Dion.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah,
all right,
definitely. My number one would have to be I know a couple just Robert Plant.
Okay. From Led Zeppelin?
Led Zeppelin. Front man for Led Zeppelin. Now, my first introduction to Led Zeppelin was when I was doing a show. Not when I was doing a show. Is when I saw School of Rock when I was a kid. School of Rock has always been my favorite movie of all time. It will probably be my favorite movie till the day I die because, like, I'm gonna probably bring it back to that, but because Jack Black's also on this list. But yeah, but and then as soon as they got to that scene where they got out of the auditions, like faking. Well, the kids were faking to be sick, and they're just getting excited. It's like, no, cut it out. You're dying. Remember? It's like, and then they get into the van and they drive up, and then all I heard was that powerful, just like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. Like, I went to my mom. I was like, "What's that song? What's that song?" I was like, "That's Led Zeppelin, sweetie." I was like, "Oh, Led Zeppelin." And then I listened to them off and on for a few years, and then as a gift for one of the shows I did recently, my little co-star, who's a sweet little girl, she's not exactly little anymore because these kids grow up so fast right now. She's in high school right now.
I got 10-year-old niece. So
yeah, like shoot, like I got a set of twin cousins right now. These boys shot up to 6'3" by the time they are 14.
Wow.
Tell me what bit of that is normal.
Perception.
I mean, what is my aunt putting in these kids' food? Anyway, nevertheless, she gave me a copy of Led Zeppelin 1 in CD form. And then as soon as we got done with that show, I went home and I poured myself a glass of whiskey. And then I just sat down and I listened to the whole album throughout. And it was the most perfect combination of just randomness and just all out jazz rock. Like it was so random. It was almost like sex in a way. Like you didn't know what was coming. You didn't know how a verse or a riff was going to end up or what they were going to do by the next verse. You were just along for the ride, pretty much. And Robert Plant has, there was nobody like him with those vocals especially. Mm-hmm. He was an amazing lyricist. He was a powerful frontman, and those vocals, like the amount of control he had on that back in the day and the range. I mean, I wish Led Zeppelin could make a comeback today, but Robert ain't got the voice anymore. I mean, he said it himself. It's a sad statement, but I just definitely want to get, because I've always said if I'm in a band myself, I'm definitely a front man. That's just the kind of energy I get. Yeah, I'm a singer, like first and foremost. Like I just want to have a conversation with a real like front man, because he wasn't just a front man. He was an icon, dude. Mm-hmm. He was an icon. And I'd say and if Jimmy's there, that's such a plus. That's one for me.
Okay. So number 2 for me, since you're talking about your favorite movie, I'll talk about mine. Clerks. Kevin Smith.
Yes.
Yeah. And I say this knowing someone who has interviewed Kevin Smith and
Really?
Sav Rogers.
Okay.
Did a documentary called Chasing Amy. Also very heavily influenced by Kevin Smith.
Okay.
So the thing about Kevin Smith, in addition to playing Silent Bob, Clerks in particular, he did on a shoestring budget, so like $29,000. That is a good example of what you can do with not a whole lot of money.
That was a really good example. Just $29,000?
$29,000, yeah.
Shoot.
And he had to shoot it at night because he was working at that convenience store, and they would only let him shoot at night.
So did he have to have a whole conversation with the manager?
Oh, I'm sure he did, yeah.
Because I did see the movie. I just never delved into the whole backstory of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that also explains why the shutters were closed the whole time. There's the backstory of that. Okay. Right? Clever. Of course, the plot device there, someone jabs gum in the locks. Bunch of savages in this town.
Clever.
It's a great example of dialogue. Because I think, it's cool to see like action films and stuff like that. But I think a great test of a filmmaker and a writer is how well do you do with dialogue. And Clark's is an excellent example of what you can do with primarily dialogue, because it is a very dialogue-heavy film. I'd say the only real action in the film is when they're playing hockey on the roof. Right? Of course, the first of many films taking place within the Venus universe. Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2. I have not seen the Jay and Bob reboot, nor have I seen Clerks 3, but I plan to.
Mm-hmm. Got to make sure they're still authentic.
Yeah. Clerks 3 just came out digitally recently. So.
Yeah, like, what, about a month?
Yeah, about that. I still haven't seen it. So. We are still fortunate to have Mr. Smith, because he did have a heart attack not too long ago. Almost died, but they caught it just in time.
Good deal.
And,
good deal. Can't lose you, buddy.
So yeah, he is much scrawnier now. You may have noticed.
Yeah, I saw him in an interview, and I was like, dude, he's been dropping weight. Is he alright? Like,
yeah, doctor's orders. I'm sure a little liposuction went into that, but that's primary.
No, but still, I mean, he looks good. He looks good, for sure.
So. And credit for getting his child into acting as well, Harley Quinn Smith.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2, Kevin Smith.
My number 2... We're still on the topic of movies, sort of, so I'll keep the ball rolling on that. Quentin Tarantino.
Boo.
What?
Not Tarantino fan.
What? Do explain.
I had the misfortune of seeing Pulp Fiction.
Oh, the misfortune? What did you not like about Pulp Fiction?
I did not like Pulp
Fiction. What
Fiction.
did you not? Oh, okay, now we're in a... Okay, this episode just got real, people. Okay, hold on. Okay. Forget the first topic. Whatever Mount Rushmore thing we were talking about. What do you not like about Pulp Fiction? Let's just break it down.
There's no story. It's all pop culture references, and I just did not care for it.
It doesn't have to have a story. It makes sense.
For a good film, you need a good story.
It wasn't... you didn't get the bunch of the Bible references that were in there?
Saw it once, never again.
Oh, buddy. Dang. When did you see it? Did you see it when it first came out, or like?
No, I saw it because it was referred to me by one of my former co-workers when I was doing security.
Dang.
So I saw it. Never again.
Shoot. You never watched another Quentin Tarantino movie?
No, and never will.
Never. You didn't give Django a shot?
No.
Dude. Man. Okay, episode idea. I'm gonna force you to watch some Quentin Tarantino movies.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
We'll get to it. Watch me double the views on this podcast, and then we'll get to that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, well, me personally, I'm a big fan of Quentin Tarantino and his work. Mm-hmm. Reservoir Dogs, especially with the limited budget he had on that, especially. Django was ahead of its time, in my opinion, and the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that was just absolutely crazy. And he said recently on a podcast that he does have a mini series in the works, which a full mini series from just Quentin Tarantino like astonishes me just because of his directing style. Because the movie goes his way or the highway. He doesn't take in like influence or direction from anybody else. The project's his baby. The characters are his. He'll collaborate with the actors from time to time, but that's about it. Other than that, he is he's a general on that set. And he's sharp with his words, and in some directors' cases, you gotta be in some senses. I just kind of admire the guy for being a tough, nitty-gritty guy, but you're having to go his way, and no other way else, So that's my number 2.
Okay, so
now,
that's somewhere where I'm going to differ, because you mentioned strict. I am not strict. Now as a director, At least I welcome.
Well, I mean, you have to be strict in some senses,
Yeah.
but like you still have to be loose and respectful.
Yeah.
Like, so you got to have fun with what you're doing
Yeah.
because I mean we're pretending and we're making a story for people.
I allow my actors to improv.
So yeah, especially like I'm pretty sure he does that all the time too. I was able to do that on my last project I did with Devin Clark, which he let me and all my other actors like go through like different scenarios and different like stuff that wasn't even pertaining to the film. He was just helping us build our characters off sides, and we were just improvising from there and building these characters like.
Okay.
And he even let us change some lines in the scripts at some points. But anyways,
all right,
continue.
Numero Trace.
Yes, Trace.
You know, we should all be nicer to Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton is number 3 on my list.
You know what? Give Will his respect.
Yeah.
Give Will his respect.
Yeah. So my first exposure to Mr. Wheaton was on Star Trek. I'm a big Trekkie. All right.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was on Star Trek: Next Generation as Wesley Crusher. Started as a teenager, but grew over the course of the series, ultimately becoming an ensign, and then going off to Starfleet Academy for a little bit before deciding the Academy's not my thing, Starfleet's not my thing. I'm going to follow this traveler guy. In real life, during that period where he's supposed to be at the Academy, he was actually living out Topeka. Yeah. He's much better known nowadays, because of his the evil portrayal he did on Big Bang Theory, and 2 for making geek culture far more accessible to everyone, like gaming, sci-fi, fantasy, that type of thing. He even had, and you can still find this on YouTube, a web series called Tabletop. Shares the same with the friendly local game shop, where it's him and a bunch of celebrities, and they're playing board games. And these are different types of board games, so definitely not your Monopoly, but more like your Settlers of Catan and your Ticket to Ride and Carcassonne, to name but a few, including my favorite game, Smash Up. So.
Yeah.
In fact, he was so influential with the success of Smash Up, he is actually a card in that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Probably the best card in the game, actually.
Best one?
He's a Power 4 minion in the Geeks faction, and his ability, he can be played out of turn to cancel another player's action. And he just stays there, contributing power.
It's basically just best get out of jail free card ever.
Yeah. And he does podcasting. He's done some podcasting as well. So Radio Free Burrito and TV Crimes are the 2 he's worked on. And he's become a very vocal advocate for mental health.
Always important.
And everything.
It is definitely important. As much as people like to say that not talk about it, bro, just talk about it to somebody. If you let that stuff build up in you, and I'm not just saying it from personal experience, like from people around me, you let that stuff build up, it's going to pop. You're not going to like when it's going to pop, and no one around you is going to like how you pop off.
Right.
Just let it out. Talk to somebody, bro. Don't let your pride get in the way, bro.
Yeah. So then I'm still dealing with, personally, So yeah, that's my number 3, Will Wheaton.
Yeah, Will Wheaton. My number 3, since we're still rolling the ball on movies, Jack Black.
Okay.
Jack Black, his like I said, School of Rock has always been my favorite movie as a kid. If anything, I can't tie my personality to a character better, because he's just like all about the music. He's a little wild, eccentric, a little out of the box in sense. I mean, I'm obviously not gonna fake being a teacher at a school around the area because I'm literally going to jail instantly. They ain't gonna put away a special deal for me at the end of that. No, and then I always listen to Tenacious D off and on again. Greatest band in the world. No disrespect to Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin, but it's just facts. I even went as far as when I did School of Rock up in St. Joseph with a company called Ruby the Resident Theater. I actually went above and bought the exact Gibson SG that the signature one that he had on the cover of the School of Rock. I got that exact same one, fresh, no copies or phonies or anything. I got it straight and ordered it from Gibson.
Nice.
There was a whole certificate and it even had a little baby picture before it got shipped out, a little baby picture. And I always said, if I ever see Jack Black, I'm having him sign this guitar, and it is going nowhere else. Literally. I just don't think I know of any other person that was in that, or celebrity that that got exposed into my life that I can tie my personality, that taught me to be just wild and eccentric, and everybody's gonna love you for your goofiness. If anything, he taught me there's nothing fun about being normal.
Cool.
Anyway, so that's my 3.
All right. Saving Silverman. That's a good. That's a good movie.
Saving Silverman is a good movie. Nacho Libre, all that. If anything, Bernie. Bernie was a really good movie. Did you ever watch that one?
I have not.
It was a true story about a man down in Texas. I can't remember what. The guy's name was Bernie, and he had a relationship. Perfect church-going guy, all around hometown hero, just nicest guy. You could go to him for a cup of sugar at a mile away from your house, or something like that. I don't know, whatever country slang goes into that. But he was a really sweet dude, and then he got into a personal relationship with a widow down there who was just a mean old bitch, dude. She was mean to everybody, especially. I don't know how she acted in real life, but if the movie's any accurate, she wasn't the nicest person. But nevertheless, they had a relationship for about a little bit of a year, I think. And then one day, Bernie just snapped and just killed her. Just shot her dead. But the messed up thing is, he was so scared about it. He stuffed her body in a freezer, doesn't even tell about it. He makes all of these payments around the town, to churches and ads on hospital wings in her name with her money.
Wow.
Which is I mean, I get your point, dude, but come on, man. I mean, I can imagine the guy was scared, but if you think about it in the sense, the movie kind of shows a different perspective of how, in a way, he was manipulated and he didn't let go. But you never know in those sort of situations, especially. It's true story, and you definitely should give it a look.
All right. Okay. So Bernie with Jack Black.
Bernie with Jack Black.
So number 4. Here's the dead parts. Unfortunately, this person is dead. George Carlin.
George.
Yeah.
If only he was ahead of his time.
Yes, he was.
He definitely was.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. He is probably most famous for the some words you can never say on television. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. He actually did time in jail.
Dirty old twat. 69.
Yeah. He actually did time because of that sketch. All right.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding.
What?
It went all the way to the Supreme Courts, and it wound up being a major victory for the First Amendment.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
For those of you who have never had the chance to see any of Carlin's work, do so. It's
Yes.
all over YouTube.
Very progressive work.
In addition to his talking about language all the time, he always likes to talk about cultural issues.
Yeah, he was very progressive. Like, he was all about... I remember, like, most of the clips I see of him nowadays are him just talking about, like, you know the government? Yeah, that's all bullshit. There's, like, basically was what he's saying.
Yeah.
In a sense.
He was also very critical of the Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah. He was very
Ironically,
vocal.
Ironically, he played a cardinal in Dogma. Right. Baseball and football, that's a good routine. Doesn't have all off cussing or anything. Yeah. But one I am going to suggest to everyone is his idea for prison camps. My web series, Tales from the Interim Nets, there was an idea of a Canwai Kalyut prison colony. And, well, he's been dead for a while, so I'll go ahead and say it was pretty much ripped off from that routine.
Okay.
So you take the entire state of Kansas, move everybody out, and you put up a big 10-story electric fence around Kansas, and Kansas becomes a prison farm for violent criminals. Gonna do the same thing for Wyoming for sex criminals, drug addicts and alcoholics. You do it for Colorado and Utah for maniacs and crazy people.
Who are we sticking in Florida?
Yeah. I chose those states because rectangular states are easy to fence.
Rectangular states are easy to fence.
Saves the taxpayers money, you know? So,
no.
Yeah. Another one I'm going to suggest, the one that actually led into that one is his stance on, is a routine on abortion. Why? Why is it that most of the people who are against abortion are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place? And then goes on and says, the line that I think sums up the pro-life movement. They're not pro-life. They're anti-woman.
Say that again.
They're not pro-life. They're anti-woman.
Can I get an amen from the crowd?
Amen. So, yeah, shame that he's gone, but definitely a voice in his time. George Carlin, number 4.
My number 4 is also passed away as well. Has been for some time. Kurt Cobain.
Okay.
Yes. I assume you know of him.
I do. Once again, not exactly a fan.
So. Yeah, not exactly. Yeah. Dang, we're gonna have a lot of opposing discussions on here, buddy.
And
hey, that makes for good
entertainment,
as
long as
right?
we can do it civilly.
As long as we get, yeah,
yeah,
we can argue civilly.
Yeah,
yeah, argue civilly.
Mm-hmm.
But as a musician, especially in today's climate, like about every single songwriter like stems back to Kurt Cobain somehow, because honestly nobody did it simpler than him. He was simple with his words. He never like tried to like jam pile anything in. He never tried to like change up his style in any way, shape, or form, especially for his albums.
Mm-hmm.
He just never conformed to whatever image like others were painting towards him, no matter how much criticism he was already getting, especially since he was always postered up for his drug abuse, when really he was so anti-drug. He didn't really support the fact that he was doing drugs. It was just kind of the hole he dug himself into.
Mm-hmm.
Because the guy didn't have much of an easy life. If you listen to his song, Something in the Way, underneath the bridge, top is sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets. He's literally talking about when he was homeless, living under a bridge. And I think that bridge is still up in Kurt Cobain's hometown today. But, and it sucks the way that he it sucks the way that he left. And it's kind of a personal connection for me because we're both Pisces as well. Both of our parents split up at a young age. And both of our parents weren't exactly fond towards one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and our only escape was basically towards the music. And, like, music was all we were set on, and that's about it. And I remember, like, reading a copy of his suicide note online. And he mentions a childhood friend of his named Buddha, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one night when I was like I was in a really depressed state one day, and I just delved into researching him so much, and like really started paying attention to his lyrics, and really started paying attention to like his story and like how he wanted himself to be portrayed, and like how just the struggles this guy went through, and it's very like, I don't know, I've never felt anything more personal towards an artist. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of artists nowadays, like especially not doing pop. There's not doing rock. There's people doing pop nowadays, like, and rap especially, that influenced back to Kurt Cobain, like XXXTentacion, which, thank God they're about to put those dipshits that murdered that guy on trial. Well, they're already on trial, and one of the guys just snitched like a bitch that he is. XXXTentacion, like, always stemmed his work back to Kurt Cobain just because he was they both were true, they were honest, and like they didn't care about being cute with their lyrics. You know? Like, 'cause you know how like meat eating orchids, like who comes up with that line? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that was deeper than you thought.
That is a deep one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a. Yeah, just that if anybody, I would put the three aside. As much as it would hurt to push Jack Black aside, I would push away those three just to meet Kurt Cobain, if anything. Kurt Cobain or XXXTentacion, because they both had similar situations, especially. They both. The only thing that sucks is X got taken from us, from totally unfairly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just. It's weird when the brightest careers in music are usually the shortest ones.
Yeah, I agree. No. I agree. That is sad stuff.
Yeah, and how like most people like die before their true masterpieces come out, or even before their songs get any exposure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not appreciated in their time.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's just the gives and takes of the music industry.
Yeah. All right. Oh, interesting Mount Rushmores of people we'd like to meet. So.
I kind of like how we just ended on the ones who were dead.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Kind of poetic. So.
Yeah, very poetic.
All right.
Any honorable mentions you would put up in there?
Keith Olbermann. Yeah. Who is, for those who don't know Keith, are not familiar with his work, he's mostly a journalist. I think a lot of people would know him best for his time on ESPN. Mm-hmm. The very first thing I ever saw him in was actually the Boston Market commercials. Here's a tip. Eat something.
Eat something.
Right? And then went over to MSNBC and started doing news and politics. Worst persons in the world and special comments. And in the last couple of months, he's relaunched his show as a podcast.
Hey.
Yeah. So definitely Countdown with Keith Olbermann.
Nice.
And he brought everything with him, from his special comments to sports and news commentary to worst person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he has named Bill O'Reilly a couple times already.
Yeah. Of course. All right.
Your honorable mention? I guess we already named your honorable mentions.
XXXTentacion, definitely. Okay. Or Marilyn Monroe.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, you can't... Hey. Do I need to explain that one?
No. No, you did not.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go and wrap this up. And, good first discussion. And, we'll definitely
Great first discussion.
We'll definitely do a few more of these as the podcast continues moving forward. And
excited.
I'm excited too. So, all right. Everyone listening at home, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next time.
Have a good one, y'all.
This podcast is Uncalled For is hosted, produced and edited by Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is I Thought You Were Cool by Holy Yzna CC0, licensed under a Creative Commons 0.1.0 Universal License. The outro music for this episode is Still Balling by Tricky Diesel, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution License. The co-host for the podcast is Braden Shryock. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting platform. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/uncalledforpodcast, and check out our blog with show notes at uncalledfor.home.blog. If you are in the United States or Canada, you can call us at 816-832-5160. Leave your message or question for us, and if we like it, we will play it on the podcast. Please support the podcast and purchase our exclusive Uncalled For merchandise. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and so much more. Go to www.cafepress.com/uncalledforpod. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.